Blessed to know the best at all times. Oh my gosh, it's your guy Rhett Butler, and this is that pretty left hook hitting you in your liver and your gut. We're like Jake Paul's Twitter fingers, coming for your career, baby. Welcome to the show. The notorious Conor McGregor. He's being called out by chief rival Dustin the Diamond Poirier for his lack of charitable contributions. After the second round knockout loss to Poirier at UFC 257 in January, McGregor publicly promised to donate $500,000 to Poirier's charity, The Good Fight. The news comes on the heels of Poirier inking a deal for a trilogy fight against McGregor since the two have one win apiece over each other. However, McGregor claims Poirier never responded with a plan for the money, making him skeptical of providing the donation. As a result, Poirier blasted McGregor back, citing Team McGregor's failed communications attempts. McGregor initially pledged the money in October 2020. Then he repeated the $500,000 promise again in November. Finally, he vowed to cut the check again in the days before their UFC 257 bout. Now it seems that a planned July 10th, 2021 UFC 264 bout between the two won't happen, as McGregor claims to be backing out of the fight. The disagreement lives on Twitter with them Twitter fingers, and the fingers are doing more talking than their actual mouths. But this could either be a massive miscommunication, or McGregor is allowing his ego to stop what the fans want. That's a jab.
Combat Sports Insider, host of the Pretty Left Hook, and combat sports and culture editor for the Shadow League, Mr. Rhett Butler is here. Rhett, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely glad to be here and can't wait to talk about this crazy cultural phenomenon known as the Triller Fight Club.
Absolutely. And with a panel like this, you need the best of the best to host. And that's who we have with us. The one and the only Matt Stryker is here. Matt, take it away, my friend.
Oh, gosh, Josh, thank you so much. Every time we do these, my face hurts from smiling because I get to work with people that I admire. And I really like already, let's go right to it, Rhett, what you said about this cultural phenomenon. Look, the way we're enjoying sports and entertainment, it's changing. What are your thoughts immediately about this spectacle?
Yeah, I mean, again, right now for me, what's happening with Fight Club, Jake Paul as a cultural phenomenon, it's showing that in sports entertainment, specifically combat sports, we've now entered popularity over pedigree. Obviously, boxing diehards are going to always talk about the pedigree of the athletes coming up through the amateurs, making it through the Golden Gloves, possibly going to the Olympics, and then obviously having a professional career. But now you have a Jake Paul, an absolute disruptor. Fight TV and Triller aligning to give disruptors a new voice. Snoop Dogg is the commentator. I mean, all of these new cultural nuances are now becoming the standard of sports and entertainment, and I love it all, man. I'm here for it.
So now, Rhett, I want to come back to you here because first and foremost, I love branding. I love things, especially nowadays. We need things to really click and stick. Pretty Left Hook, that works for me, man. If you're a fan of boxing, you get that kind of like mentality. Talk to me a little bit about the actual sport, the science of the boxing here between Jake and Ben.
So for me, this is, piggyback on what Josh said. It is like the early UFC days, right? When you have a judoka versus a wrestler or something like that. So I think when you look at what's going on, and I looked at a lot of Ben Askren highlights just to see if he really has some hands. I mean, forget the record. We know he didn't. We know he knocked out, I think, 6 guys. Obviously, he had the ability to also have the ground game with that. So I think what we're talking about at this point is a novice versus an experienced fighter. However, that experience might be trumped by the ability to learn boxing faster. Now, don't get me wrong. Everybody, especially Dan, can back me up on this. A boxer is not created. A boxer is born. And when I say that, what I mean is boxing is hard. Like, this is not an easy thing to do. That's no dig at MMA fighters. But at the same time, an MMA fighter might come with 6 to 7 coaches, right? And you have, guys that can learn a lot faster, whereas boxers might start at 8 years old, 7 years old. So these guys are really trained assassins, so to speak, with the hands. So I have to give Jake Paul the edge, unfortunately. And I only say unfortunately because I don't want to disrespect Ben Askren's pedigree and his experience. But I think that Jake Paul has been dialing directly into boxing without focusing on anything else. And I think Ben Askren, with the benefit of grappling and a ground game, is always going to have that as his go-to. And now he's learning a discipline that he never had to utilize as a primary asset.
Who wins and why?
Why? Jake Paul has a killer instinct, man. I mean, at the end of the day, I think he gets what the moment means. I think he understands where he's at and what he's creating right now in relation to the partners with FITE and Triller. And I think that at the end of the day, that component makes a fact. And this kid is a winner at 24 years old. I think that's going to be the differentiating factor. Much respect to Ben Askren and his entire pedigree. I think Ben Askren's a superior athlete. I mean, at the end of the day, you can't take anything away from what he's done as an athlete and as a champion in mixed martial arts, especially across the world, from ONE FC all the way to Strike. I mean, I'm sorry, all the way to the last promotion he was in, Bellator, excuse me. And then even though he had failed attempts in the UFC, he's still who he is, especially as a wrestler. But at the end of the day, Jake Paul's coming through. He's a new force. You have seasoned boxers co-signing this kid, working with this kid, and much respect to Freddie Roach and what he can do to upgrade Ben Askren's hands. But you're not going to learn that overnight, baby, and you still got a little bit of a hill to climb. So I think Jake Paul got this one. Anywhere you're at, we are too. At Pretty Left Hook. Check us out, and thanks for subscribing.